Hi there, this is a bit of a moment of truth in that this is the cast I made of Rachel last year, and if you saw my last video I rolled out the clay and put it in the cast, and it's always interesting. This is one of my favourite moments. It doesn't always work out well. Sometimes when I open it up they're disappointing. Fortunately I found the clay work, as long as you're patient and you're prepared to work on things, you can actually solve a lot of things. So I don't panic too much if it doesn't work out too well. If it collapses, that's a bit of a problem, and then I have to remake it, but on the whole, bar that, I can get through it. Right, this is just cling film, and I put the cling film in these areas here where the clay is more exposed. And if you look, this has warped because the other day that was fitting perfectly well, but the dampness from the clay has warped it. Okay, I think we'll do the back first. Sometimes they don't hold in place, so as I do this they fall apart, but rarely. Doesn't want to come. Oh, Rachel, if you're watching this, it's tough. Oh, it's not getting better. Ta-da. Okay, hooray. Pregnant body out. Gosh, it feels so like a pregnant stomach. Really strange. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, if you can see, there are quite messy seams here, and they're obviously, it's slightly out of alignment, so what I'm going to have to do is trim this off, clean it up, and then reinforce all the seams on the outside. I've also got to take off all these bits of plaster. I use this. It's a stainless steel kidney that I got from Tarantes, I think, and I just scrape it across the surface. I'm sure I might have got it from Pottery Craft, can't remember. And I just scrape it across, and I've got to get rid of all the white. And if you've watched a few of these, you'll know it's because if I leave the white in there, it can cause problems when the piece is firing, and it can spoil it quite a lot. So I always find it interesting when these come off. With Rachel, because she was pregnant, wrapped her in cling film just to protect her. I mean, in theory, the plaster, as long as you've got a decent barrier on, is fine anyway for most people. But when people are pregnant, they are sometimes hypersensitive to everything. So it's best to protect it. I remember when I was pregnant sort of reading things about, you know, it wasn't advisable to colour hair and do all sorts of things just in case. So just wanted to check that the baby was alright, which she is. And anyway, but because she was wrapped in cling film, I have no idea what that is. It wasn't on, she didn't have that on her body. But it's obviously something that's moved during the casting, so we'll get rid of that. It's a nice piece, very pleased. Anyway, I'll go around and I'll clean off where the bra is. I'll clean off all the marks from the plaster. Oh, look, tummy button. And just tidy it up and make it really smooth. And then think about the surface. I know something that I want to work on for the surface of this piece, but it's quite experimental. May not work. So I want to plan it out rather than do that in front of my YouTube, because if I make massive mistakes on that, it would be a bit embarrassing. And quite often at this stage when I've cast somebody and I have this piece, I spend a little while sort of looking at the piece and getting familiar with it to try and work out exactly where I want to go. And it's rare, like at the moment, I asked Rachel to model for this because I had a specific piece in mind, but it's actually rare for me to have an idea of exactly where they're going to go beforehand, and then I sort of like look at the piece and try and work it out based on what the person wants and what the form's like. But I think that this particular form lends itself to my idea really well. I'm very pleased. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll show you some other time. Bye bye.